Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest on the much warmer and drier conditions that will be arriving for all over the course of the next few days and over the next couple of weeks in general. We'll start by having a look at the latest on the live radar, see what's happening at the moment. We'll look at the latest UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as there will still be showers, maybe some thunderstorms around us. We still will see low pressure nearby, but high pressure will be starting to take control through the weekend into the start of next week. And we are going to start to see those air masses increase quite substantially as well. So by early next week, could be seeing 26, 27, 28, and by the time we get towards the end of the month, within the next 10 days or so, could be into the 30s potentially. Some hints of that from some of the medium to longer range runs, where it intensifies the air mass even further. We'll have a look at those runs in the second half of the video, and as I said, some of those runs are starting to push towards heatwave thresholds in the medium to longer term. Now, the important part there is medium to longer term. No guarantees it's going to happen, but there are hints and there are plenty of options available. But I must say the majority are remaining warm and dry throughout the next 10 days and into the start of July. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, recording this around 11 PM, and you can see it is pretty bone dry through this evening. And we are going to see, as I said, a few showers over the next few days, but there shouldn't be anything too crazy. Worst area is probably going to be the north and west, closer to areas of lower pressure. Now, if you look at the temperatures this evening, it's been a pretty warm day, but it's one of those days where it's warm in the sunshine, you get in the shade, it's a little bit chillier. And that's because the air mass is still hovering around average or slightly below average. It's just that strong sunshine, dry conditions, helping those temperatures rise towards the 21, 22 degree mark. But as the air mass warms up over the next few days, it will increase the cap of those temperatures up towards maybe 25, 26, and as I said, into early next week, could even get towards 27 or 28, with the risk of 30 degrees coming before the end of the month. Now, if you do have a look at the latest UKV, you can see precipitation fairly minimal through Wednesday evening, and as we head into Thursday, again, there could be a few showers around, some high-level cloud, thicker further northwards and westwards. As we head into Friday, some rain in the north and the west, again, could be heavy in places, but you can see it is fairly scattered and breaks apart as it heads eastwards. A bit more of an intense weather front arriving there through Wednesday afternoon, but you can see as it spreads eastwards, it does fragment and it's kind of dissipate away. So Friday, maybe a little bit of a cooler day, some rain in the west and generally some thicker cloud. But into Saturday, a few showers through the morning, but it turns dry for most, and the sunshine comes again. And the same can be said for Sunday. Maybe a bit cloudy, a bit of rain during the morning, some drizzle, but again, turning warmer, turning muggier, the wind direction starting to veer up from the south. And by Monday, yes, a few showers in the north of Scotland, but most we're seeing again dry conditions, some sunshine poking through, and it turning warm or very warm. And the reason for that is those upper air temperatures are rising quite substantially towards 11 or 12 degrees. And the normal caveat we put this time of year is at about 15 degrees to those upper air temperatures. And that's where we get that sort of 26, 27 degree mark. So only a few more degrees higher than this, we could be looking at 30 degrees. Compare that to the air mass right now, it's not too bad, it's trending towards average, but it is a good 5 to 7 degrees cooler, and that's why we're only hitting the low 20s at the moment. So do look at these max temperatures. You can see through Thursday, temperatures once again could reach the 22 or 23 degree mark, so nothing remarkable, towards average for the time of year. As we head into Friday, as we saw a bit more cloud around in the west and some rain, but still again could reach 22 to 24, and then into Saturday, again could get towards 21, 22, as we saw a bit more cloud and some drizzle around, and the same could be said for Sunday. 25, 26 in the far east with dry conditions, and sunnier conditions, and those do move more widely into Monday, and look at that, widely into the low to mid 20s, maybe even some areas getting towards 26, 27 or even 28 degrees. And that's the first day of proper warm temperatures in excess of the mid 20s. and there is the risk of it getting even higher, as we'll see now from the longer range runs. So if you start on the latest GFS, you can see high pressure is building in at the moment, but we are going to see little pesky lows moving through at times. As we head into early next week, we do see high pressure build in, but we could see a bit of low pressure at times. But it's at this period here, as we head through the next sort of week to 10 days, the last few days of June, where it could be warm or very warm as the wind direction does veer up from the south for a time. Longer range, right towards the extended end, we do start to see potentially a little bit of low pressure mixing in. Again, it doesn't look like it's going to bring a massive flood of rain or a massive flood of cooler air. What it could do is introduce instability and increase the risk of thunderstorms into early July. So that's something we need to keep an eye on. But just generally looking very warm. And even here, again, we see another big area of high pressure building in and likely going warm and dry once again. You see the air mass peaks here through the final days of June, getting towards that 15-degree line, and that would equate to temperatures, if it remained dry, of around 30 degrees, maybe even slightly higher. So again, keep a very close eye on that, but looking promising indeed. And if you compare to the latest GM, again, broadly very similar over the next week or so. Some low pressure around over the next few days, that's why a bit of rain around, but generally high pressure building in, turning warm and dry. However, into the middle of next week, we see a bit of a low developing that could put a bit of a span in the works. Now, it's likely to remain warm. If we do put on the upper air temperatures, you can see we have got some very warm air or hot air still feeding on the eastern edge of this. So it's likely to remain warm, but we would likely see a lot of showers and potentially a lot of thunderstorms as well, unfortunately. So with that mixing in, it wouldn't be great at all. As I said, we'll have to keep a close eye on it. It is only one run at this stage, but it's cropping up. And again, we can't ignore it until we see a lot more consistency for that sort of hotter, drier, persistent conditions. And after you finish by looking at the latest ECMWF, again, high pressure extending in, some low pressure coming in off the west, but then you can see again high pressure completely dominating. Again, you can see that little pesky low, but it's further southwards, eventually moving in, but it's weaker and just an area of more of instability. So it's unlikely to cool things down at all. You can see the upper air temperatures do remain warm or hot there towards day 10. Just the risk of thunderstorms does increase pretty substantially in that sort of scenario. Now anyway, if we finish by looking at the latest ensembles, you can see that big rise through the final period of June. That has increased quite substantially in the past couple of days, from just above average now to a good 5 or 6 degrees above average. You can see the next couple of days hovering around average, and that's why we're kind of not seeing anything too high in the next 2 or 3 days. But into early next week, after that rain moves through in the weekend, in places, that's where it could get warm or very warm. Then you can see the upper air temperatures just continue rising, fairly bone dry, at least for London, throughout the remainder of June there. And you can see very warm. And you can see the GFS operational run goes right at the top there, above 15 degrees. And that does bring the risk of 30 degrees at the surface in. You can see a bit more of a drop in the longer range, but we don't see a massive increase in precipitation. So I'm just guessing that there's a bit more of a mix and a bit of uncertainty from the runs there. The reliable time frame, out towards day 7 to day 10, still looking very warm and dry. You see the 2 meter temperatures are on the upwards trend into the mid-20s or even higher 20s, and a few runs there, like the operational GFS, just about hitting 30 degrees. So I have to keep, as I said, a very close eye on it, but looking pretty positive through this evening for something very summer-like. After you finish by looking at the latest ECMWF ensembles, broadly very similar, even more bullish there. Big increase in temperatures as we enter the final period of June. The only big change I see here is it's a bit more extreme. The upper air temperatures rising even higher than the GFS, with quite a few runs getting towards that 15 to 20 degree point, and even some above 20 degrees, which we'd be looking at mid-30s in that sort of scenario. But the other big thing is precipitation. A lot more rainfall spikes the last day or two of June and early July. What that says to me is the ensembles here from ECMWF are a lot more bullish in that little low pressure system developing towards that 10-day time frame. And that, as I said, is unlikely to affect the upper air temperature. You can see they are still fairly warm for most runs, but what it is likely to do is bring in a lot of instability and potentially some very, very large outbreaks of thunderstorms. So again, something that is potentially starting to crop up, but it is still way too far away to say with any real certainty. For the time being, we'll concentrate on the next week to 10 days, keeping a close eye on this longer period trend, but it is interesting indeed, and it looks like we are heading into a proper summery period now. Hot conditions, dry conditions, and potentially some thunderstorms in that longer range period. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.